Why are your grades so bad?
It's been really hard to adjust to this new grading system. I can't tell if it's benefiting me or working against me.
The introduction of the standard-based grading system to North Gwinnett has brought lots of controversy with it. According to Rochester University, standards-based grading is an assessment system that focuses on students' progress towards clearly defined learning goals. Some students and teachers love it while others hate it. In this documentary, we will be uncovering the true opinions of students and teachers on the standard-based grading system.
Here's your quiz.
9 out of 12? Oh, that's like a 75. That kind of sucks. That's going to bring my grade down for sure. Let me see my grade. Oh, I got 3.5. That's an 80. It's going to bring my grade up, actually, even though I got a 75 on the quiz. Let's go.
Here you go.
Thank you for my quiz. Oh, let's go. I got 18 out of 20. That's a 90. It'll probably go in as a 4.5 in my grade book. That would really help my physics grade out. Let's see what I got. A 4? No, that means you rounded my grade down to an 88. That's so unfair. I literally scored a 90, but I'm getting a grade that doesn't reflect my mastery at all.
We think that the standard-based grading system is flawed and think that the traditional grading system is better for both students and teachers. Let's see what others think about the grading system. Of the 24 students who completed our student survey, only 45.8% of them believe that the standard-based grading system truly reflected their understanding of academic topics.
45% of the students surveyed claimed that their teacher intended to round their grades down to conform to the standard-based grading system. This is also reflected in the teacher survey, where 54.5% of the 11 teachers who filled out this survey claimed to round their students' grades to the nearest number to conform to the standard-based grading system. How does it make you feel when teachers round your grade down?
I feel kind of like frustrated and discouraged because I feel like the grade doesn't reflect the effort I put in or the true level of understanding that I have, and it makes me feel like my hard work when I actually study isn't fully recognized by the test.
One of the huge flaws of the standards-based grading system is that all teachers round differently based on their viewpoint of the grading system. This can lead to inconsistencies in grades between two students who have the exact same mastery of the content, which is not fair for the student who has a teacher that rounds down compared to the one that rounds up.
The results from these surveys reveal that the standard-based grading system is associated with an increase in the difficulty of the task of inputting grades into the gradebook. 45.5% of teachers found it more difficult to input grades to conform to the standard-based grading system as compared to the traditional grading system. In addition, a majority of students perceive that their teachers have a more difficult time inputting grades as a result of the standard-based grading system.
Do you think the 1 to 5 standards-based grading system makes it easier or harder for teachers to grade students?
I think it makes it harder because the teacher has to convert the numeric grade to the 1.5 or 1 to 5 scale, and then they have to analyze the data points to determine the progress grade.
Do you see any advantages and disadvantages of a standardized based grading system for teachers?
One of the disadvantages to me is that I feel like I'm not giving my students as much feedback on the specific standards that they are doing because we have to have the big ideas, and so we generalize the feedback a little bit more, where before I used to provide more targeted feedback on individual standards from the AP curriculum in order to prepare my students. It also does take me a lot longer to grade things with this scale and put the grades in, etc., since you have to do all the data points, then a progress grade and a mastery grade.
As seen in both the student and teacher interviews as well as the surveys, the implementation of standards-based grading has made it more difficult for teachers to input grades. Not only that, but according to Ms. Willis, an APUSH teacher, standards-based grading has made it impossible for teachers to provide direct feedback on specific topics of the AP curriculum because the grading system generalizes entire units into one singular grade. This makes it difficult for students to understand what they need to focus their studies on, which is not a problem with the traditional grading system.
Although there are many students and teachers that dislike the standard-based grading system, there are some that actually advocate it for instead. Here's what one teacher thinks about the standards-based grading system. Do you think that the standard-based grading system truly reflects your students' mastery of academic topics?
In my class, because I think we do it in a very specific way, I think it does. So I think it depends on how it's implemented within a classroom.
When it comes to deciding a student's grade on assessment, do you typically round their grade up, round their grade down, or whatever is the closest number?
So this is where it's a little different. So we don't use a raw score for the standard. We ask questions that are on the level of the standard. So for what would be a 5 in an AP course, if you are successfully, consistently answering level 5 questions, then you are a level 5 student. So that's where I talked about it has to be done a certain way.
Although this teacher believes that the standards-based grading system does in fact better reflect the students' understanding of the topic as compared to the traditional grading system, her argument may not be effective and apply to all students because she is not an AP teacher. AP classes differ drastically from non-AP classes, as AP classes are essentially college classes and are made to be much more difficult and rigorous. AP classes are strictly based on the specific topics provided by the College Board, and the fact that teachers are unable to provide direct feedback on specific topics to the students as mentioned by Ms. Mullis nullifies the validity of Ms. Reed's argument that the standards-based grading system does not reflect the students' understanding of the topic.
That was the perspective of a teacher who supports standard-based grading. Now let's hear about a student who supports it has to say.
Do you like the traditional grading scale better or the 1 to 5 grading scale?
I like the 1 to 5 grading scale better because my teacher bumps up my grade. For like a 96 can go up to 100 and a 90 can go up to a 94. So I think it's pretty good.
The students said that they supported standard-based grading solely because their teacher would round their grades up to a higher score than they had actually earned. Although the student supports the standard-based grading system, it is not because it better reflects the student's understanding of the academic content, but rather for the fact that it benefits the student by giving them a higher grade than what they actually achieved.
In conclusion, we believe that North Gwinnett High School should revert back to the traditional grading system. This is because it better reflects the students' understanding of their academic content, removes any chance for the inconsistencies between two students with the same knowledge of content, and it makes it much easier for teachers to input grades into the gradebook and provide direct feedback on specific topics.